What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Digital World Acquisition Corp, ticker symbol DWAC, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Monday, February 5th. Well, DWAC stock here on Friday, up 38 cents a share, about 0.94% on the day. It, of course, is up in the after hours another, 2.5%, nearly 3% here. Listen, as always, with after-hours movement, take it with a grain of salt, whether it's in your favor or going against your current sentiment. Why? That would be the reason. Volume is very, very low. We're talking like a few thousand shares, if that, a couple hundred shares per 1 minute candle. So we have to take it with a grain of salt, as much as we'd love to kind of take that as gospel there. But listen, of course, if you're a bull, you'd rather see that than in the opposite direction. Okay. As far as the 1 minute chart is concerned, honestly, not a lot of setups in terms of intraday scalps or even intraday trades really whatsoever. A lot of sloppy movement here, especially midday as far as intraday traders are concerned. So I don't think you would have seen a whole lot of intraday traders here on DWAC, at least on Friday. If you are interested in getting my personal scalp setup alerts, maybe you want to become a Platinum one-on-one member, you can find that link to go check that out in the pinned comment. Let's take a look now at the 5 minute time frame and see some volume here during market hours and see what we're looking at here. So we got a lot of kind of randomly poppy volume candles here on Friday's trading day. But I mean, look, if we look at the upside moves compared to the fade that we had intraday compared to the late day pump again, the volume really didn't change all that much aside from a couple of candles here and there, which I can't really look at with any seriousness. I would need to see multiple candles in a row. There really isn't a lot to go off of in terms of volume to, either confirm the bullish perspective of that or confirm the bearish perspective of that. Of course, what I mean by that is if you're a bull, you'd prefer to see upside moves with as high a volume as possible and then see pullbacks with very low volume. The opposite is, of course, true for bears. Now, this isn't a bad thing or a good thing that we can't really pull any data out of Friday's movement. It's just kind of a net neutral. So let's move on now to the 30 minute chart where things start to heat up a little bit. Look here. See that white line? That is the 50 period moving average. The gray line is the 200 period moving average. And we are currently holding that 50 period very, very well as we headed into the weekend there on Friday. And if you notice here, back on Thursday, we actually respected that 50 period moving average as a support level a couple of times. That was really good to see. And then on Friday, of course, we gave it up. So it was really good to see us reclaim that heading into the close. That's a very positive sign, not to mention that psychological level of $40 a share. And then, of course, again, taking it with a grain of salt, but pulling away hard in the after hours. If you're a bull looking at this from a bullish perspective here, come Monday, looking at the 30 minute chart here, you're going to want to see that 50 period moving average hold, ideally as a support level, if we end up seeing a back test of that. Okay, and if you're a bear, you want to see this thing get broken to the downside and fade hard back down to that 200 period moving average. Again, specifically looking at the 30 minute chart here. Let's get even more context. We need to look at the 4-hour chart to really understand what we're looking at. And then also we need to look at the daily. Look at this. Again, the 50 period moving average here on the 4-hour chart, very much so in play. The 200 period, not so much, because of course it's going to take more time to move upside now that the stock has aggressively moved so much higher. But looking here on the 4-hour, ideally you're going to want to see, if you're a bull, not only that $40 psychological whole number, that round number level hold, but also as this 50 period moves up toward $40 a share, you're going to want to see that hold as a support level as well, since that is what we've seen, occur for the last many weeks of trading here. And again, if you're a bear, looking at the 4-hour chart here, you obviously want to see a hard break downside of that 50 period here, okay? Now, the most important chart that we're going to look at today, the daily. See, this is kind of hard to look at, right? When you get such an aggressive upside move in a stock, one of the big problems that then presents itself, it's not so much a problem, but it just kind of comes with the territory of being so incredibly right on direction. The 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving averages are going to take their time to get upside. Now, why do we want them to get upside at all? They present a potential safety net. The closer they get to the stock, the higher the stock goes. Okay, so honestly, I wouldn't even be against seeing the stock trade sideways for a while just to let these things come up and present more of a safety net, because right now, I'll tell you what, the bears are looking at this gap here and they're salivating. They're thinking they're getting a downside test all the way down to 2250. Okay, so ideally, if you're a bull, you want to see these things get yanked up and close that gap to put some psychological barriers additionally, aside from just technical regions like 40 and 35 on the table. You want to get these moving averages up. Okay, now implied volatility, obviously very important if you're looking at options, of course, but also just the comfort of the stock. It has faded recently from 206% approximately down to below 150%. That is a positive thing, because the lower implied volatility goes, the more comfortable the options traders are perceiving the stock in the current range that it trades in. So obviously, if you're a bull, you want those options traders seeing the stock as comfortable as possible, the higher the stock price is. Okay, so you want IV as low as possible. Now, if you currently own options, you already bought them, so you want IV going up because that would benefit your position. Okay, from a Vega perspective, that Greek. But if you haven't bought options yet, whether you're trying to buy calls or puts, when buying options, you ideally want to do so when IV, implied volatility, is as low as possible in comparison to your intended trade time frame. Okay, because what that does is it opens up the potential to capitalize on some IV pump if you end up seeing IV return to equilibrium in that similar time frame compared to what you're comparing the current IV rate to. Okay, let's finish out here. We need to look at the options chain and see what the traders are thinking heading into Monday, because this is some real data that we can pull here. So understand here in the chain, very small sample size. I prefer to see at least 100,000, ideally, like on the bigger blue chips, 1 million plus. But we can only ask for so much when we're looking at, slightly more niche stocks, which is not a bad thing, by the way. But still, the sample size is small, which opens up the potential for one big trader to throw things off even a little bit more than like a big blue chip, of course, like Apple or Tesla. Okay, 29,900 of those are calls on Friday. 11,350 of those were puts. So we are seeing nearly 3 times the amount of call interest compared to put interest, overall call put ratio. What we can also look at here is the short-term speculation, the 0 to 20 delta range. Those are those short-term speculative contracts. That tells us what the most short-term options traders here are thinking as we head into Monday. We're seeing 11,000 calls, just under 6,000 puts. So the overall call put ratio leaning to the bullish side, as well as the short-term speculators are leaning to the bullish side. But again, understand, small sample size, take this data with a grain of salt. Listen, before you head out, please leave a comment. Let me know what stocks you'd like to see me cover here in the near future. It does help out tremendously to get that feedback, even if it is just more DWAC stock. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.